Hey y'all, come on in. Welcome back. I want to apologize for yesterday, the video that I made on using a swivel knife and a beveler, and I totally, completely forgot about how do I put a new edge on that blade. Because it's like any knife edge. The more you use it, the more, they're going to get dull. I told you about the rouge and stuff in the other video. But I wanted to touch on what I do, how I sharpen my swivel knife blades. And I'm getting older, so I'm not quite as steady anymore as what I used to be. And I have a much harder time now of holding a correct angle long enough to get a new edge put on them. So we got this also from Tandy Leather. One of the neatest little things I think I've ever seen. But what it is, it's a two-piece holder to hold your swivel knives at a correct angle. So I thought I'd make a short video here for any of you who are interested in it. Like I said, periodically you're going to have to put another edge on that blade. Dragging it through wet leather, and just over time it's going to get dull. So what I wanted to show you is how I do it now that I have this tool. A pretty neat little tool. Like I said, it comes in two pieces. Let's see if I can show this little. It's got a little screw down here at the end of it where you insert your blade. Just loosen it, take your blade out. Now again, this is how I do it. I've already got this one set. This centerpiece, it slides out. On the bottom of it, it's got a little roller here, which is pretty cool. Now what I do when I want to put an edge on a blade, and your swivel knife also has where that same size set screw in it, so you can pull the blade out. But usually on a project, I think I said yesterday there, I've got 3 swivel knives with different blades in each one of them. And I do that because, all depending on the size of the project, that blade may dull out on me a little bit. So instead of having to pull the blade out, go through the process of doing the sharpening and all of that, then I can just simply lay that knife down and get a fresh, or get another knife that's got a fresh sharpened blade in it. But to get that centerpiece out, you just loosen your thumb screw up here. This piece will actually come completely out, and it comes in just a little plastic bag. Now once I get it set up, I keep it exactly like this, because what I do when I get a new blade, in order to set my angle, is I'll put the blade in there, tighten that up. You don't have to go very tight. Actually, I'll leave it a little bit loose at first. And then I'll set it on a flat surface. Then I'll take a finger and I'll hold it in, holding that blade flat. And I'll tighten that screw up. I'll do this with a new blade when I very first get one. So that way I can get the angle from the factory cut and sharpened. This holder now is going to retain that same angle and that same, what do you want to call it? The same angle. Let's just go with that. It's not going to change. And then what I'll do with that, and I've already put an edge on it when I realized that I haven't done anything on how I sharpen my blades. So I do apologize. Maybe I should have put that in the video yesterday. I just didn't even think about it. So I apologize for not thinking about it. And then you can go most anywhere, and you can get you what they call a honing block or a honing stone. And then when you get ready to sharpen your blade, I got a stone that has two different sides to it. I've got a coarse side and then I've got a fine side. And what I'll do is, and again, this is just me. This is how I do it. There's going to be whoever sharpens knives, they're going to have their own way of doing it. So this is just how I do it. And I can't find the oil that I use. Again, this is my preference, but I prefer, there's an oil out there on the market. There's two of them that I like. There's one called 3-in-1 oil. They'll come in a can. Let me see if I can kind of give you the idea. I wished I knew what I did with it, but I don't. So we're going to have to kind of improvise, if you'll forgive me for that. But let's just say it's going to be in a can about this size. 3-in-1 is what I use. That's the actual name of it. And then there's another one that's really good that I also like. It's called Marvel Mystery Oil. And it's a mystery, I guess, because no one knows what's in it. But it's also very good. I like those two oils. Again, just a personal preference. To me, it seems like they'll put a little bit better of a polish. I'm polishing that blade more than I am actually sharpening it. And what I've found over my experience is the more that blade is polished and smooth, then it's not going to leave in your finer details on your project. It's not going to leave, how do I want to say this? It's not going to leave behind any of the imperfections that may have been left in that blade after you sharpen it. So I like those two oils. And then I've got a medium grit and a very fine grit stone. Now if I have one that I need to just completely redo the edge on, then I'll use the medium side of my block. And once I get that edge redefined, then I'll turn the block over to the fine side, and then I can get my polish edge on it. Once I get a pretty much mirror finish on that edge where I'm not seeing, let me get it up here. Once I get a polished edge on there where I'm not seeing any of the stone marks from using the other side, then I've got it where I want it. And again, just all personal preference. But what I like about this little tool is now that I've got that edge or that angle set, then all you have to do once you get some, I've already got the edge on this blade, so I'm not going to run it again. But put you just a couple of drops. That's all just a couple of drops of that oil is all you need on one of these stones. And then I just come in and I just run it back and forth. I put my pressure back here instead of down here. And then this will roll very, very smooth. And then once I get that one side done, the edge how I like it, then I'll come in and I'll loosen this screw. And I'll turn that blade over where I can do the other side. I'll set it back down on my flat surface again. Make sure you've got a smooth flat surface. I'll put my fingertip down there and I'll hold that, all of it together. Put a little bit of pressure on your edge or on your blade down there where it'll stay lined up. And I'll tighten that little screw again. Once I get that angle on a factory blade set right here, then I never loosen that thumb screw ever again. Now some people, they may want a little bit steeper angle or something like that. That's entirely up to you. This is all, 90% of this hobby is the feel, learning how to feel your tools. If you don't like the way the knife is cutting on this particular edge, then feel free to move this. It'll change the height of it where you can change the angle for the cutting edge on that blade. That's the whole purpose of it. But if you're still young enough to where you're steady enough, you can probably tell in some of my videos that I'm getting to the age where I'm starting to get a little shaky now. So I went Tandy Leather and got one of these, and it maintains the edge that I like, what I prefer. So this, I keep promising to try to limit the length of my videos. Oh, and these little sets right here, this is actually a screwdriver set that you can get to work on your sewing machines with. Let me show it to you. I don't know whether Walmart has them or not. I would assume they do. If not, you can probably go online to Amazon. But that's all it is. These are very, very small tips. They're intended to use on sewing machines for sewing machine maintenance and repairs. But I've found that they work incredibly well also for doing the work on my blades, for sharpening my blades. Now after you get that edge where you want it, you're going to have some oil buildup on that blade. That's intentional to get the edge on that blade. One of my very first videos, I stressed how clean you need to be sometimes when you're dealing with this stuff. when you're dealing with leather, just because if that leather has not been sealed, then everything that touches it is going to stay there for the life of that project. So what I'll do, I'll take my blade out of it, find you a place in a drawer or something like that where you can just put your sharpener holder or your blade holder, and then what I like to use there to clean that oil off that blade, it's going to have oil on it. Your fingers and all of that where you've been handling it, you're just going to get oil on you. So what I'll do is I'll go into, I'll get some alcohol, just what you might have in your bathroom, and I'll get some paper towels, and I'll get all of that oil off that blade so it's nice and clean. And then once I get the oil off of it, I'll wipe my fingers and stuff off with it as well. And then I'll go in to the sink and I'll wash my hands then with soap and water. Get the alcohol off oh, sorry. Get the alcohol off of me. And then what I'll do is, your skin has natural oils in it.
You're not a human yet. You're a kitty cat.
So what I'll do after I get it done, I've got the oil off of it, I'll just come in and I'll just rub it with my fingers. Just that very small amount of oil that comes off your skin is all you need. Just get a little bit of an oil film on that blade. And then your maintenance on your tools, your stamping tools, is before I start a project, is I'll come in and I'll inspect the tips of all of them. All of these tools should be chrome plated or nickel plated or something of that nature. These are steel. You want to look at them, make sure you don't have any of that coating flaking off of them, which will occur over time. The older they get, whatever they're coated with, it's going to want to, it'll start to separate from that base metal. These may be stainless. I don't know if they're stainless. That's great. You're good to go. But if they start to flake off, wherever that coating comes off of them, whatever it may be, they're going to start to form some rust on that one area. If you tried to use that tool and it had one of those areas where the coating had come off of it and it started to get some rust on it, then that rust is going to transfer into your project. It's going to embed in it, and it's there. You cannot get it back. So I look at them before I start a project, and then even with these, I'll just periodically, I'll just take my finger and that's all it takes. Just the oil that's in your skin is all it takes. But it's not so excessive that it's going to influence your project, or it's not going to stain your project. So, I'm sorry I didn't think about doing this in the video yesterday when I demonstrated the use of the swivel knife. It never entered my mind. So anyway, I hope that helps you. If you have any more questions or anything like that, just drop me an email. I'll be more than happy to help you with what I know and the way I do things. And as always, Judy and I like to end our videos with don't be mean. You know, before you say or do something to someone else, ask yourself, if you're not willing to treat Jesus that way, then let's not treat each other that way. And with that, I'm going to continue on with the belt. And the further I get into that, I've got other videos on that if you're interested. They're called Mr. Calvert's filigree belt. And I hope this helps somebody. And with that, I'll say adios. I'll see you next time.